What is up? That's my best Jim Rome.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of his show for the first time today in forever. And luckily I caught him on a good day. And we'll get to the NBA, of course, coming up later on in the show. But he had the Orlando Magic's head coach on. So good stuff coming out of Orlando outside of Disney. But it is Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
Taping here on May the 18th, 2022. We will get this posted as soon as possible. Hopefully we'll hit tonight. If not, first thing tomorrow morning. Lots to talk about in all the sports. Nothing really earth-shattering, but a lot of interesting topics.
A lot of little tidbitty things going on.
Yep. Of course, we're going to start off with Major League Baseball. Both our teams are actually playing okay this week.
So-so. Still underachieving. Majorly underachieving for the White Sox.
Because you had higher hopes, higher expectations. My team's playing about where I expected.
Yeah. Sox are sitting 18-18 after playing abysmally bad against the Yankees. Unable to hit. The bullpen absolutely imploded on itself.
And you got the Yankees coming up again this weekend.
Yeah.
This time in New York.
So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
And the Yankees are on fire right now.
They are just insane. The only good thing really coming out of this week has been Johnny Cueto in his debut looked freaking phenomenal through 6 innings.
Yes, he
That
did.
is the guy I had hoped we would get. His rehab seems to have worked. We'll see if he can keep going. But that is definitely a spark we needed on the starting rotation.
Yep. I know the Twins played today. I'm not sure if they finished up or not, so I can't give you a definitive games behind first place number.
Before today's action began, we were 2.5 back.
Yep, second place. Cubs, of course, 15-20, which is actually a market improvement over where they were a week ago. Pitching, just like you were talking about with Cueto, all of a sudden the Cubs seem to have found some kind of magic elixir for the pitching staff. They throw back-to-back shutouts here. Now, it's against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But that being said, that's still, for this team, very impressive.
Beating a team that they should be able to beat.
Right. So, Cubs are 15-20 in third place. Yes, they have passed the Pirates finally to get into the spot where they should be for the rest of the year, behind the Cardinals and the Brewers. They are currently 7.5 behind Milwaukee, playing again Pittsburgh tonight, going for the sweep.
Can hope for that. And
be
then
nice first one of the year. Be nice.
So has there been any more word on Hayward being designated to the IL? There was no designation on why. The only thing Ross was quoted as saying is he's had some real stuff going on, some aches and pains and some hydration issues.
No. Now, unfortunately, of course, you know that I am at odds with the Cubs right now over the Marquee Network. So I do not get to watch the Cubs nearly as often as I would going back 3-4 years. So I look at the box scores. I try to read the news. I am not aware of what's going on with Hayward.
They're on 670, the score. It's the flagship
I know,
radio.
and I do listen to it once in a while on the radio.
Coomer and Hughes.
Yeah, I like those guys. I actually like them as much, if not more, than the TV guys. But for some reason, the Hayward news has slipped through. I know that Marcus Stroman's coming back tomorrow off the COVID list. Dave Robertson just came back, our closer, off the COVID list today. But Hayward, I have not heard. And really, it's because I don't care. I have apathy towards him. Everybody else complains and bitches and pisses and moans about guys like Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and we'll get to those guys later. Hayward, to me, is those guys. Hayward, to me, hitting 220, 230.
Underperforming
hitting
for
10
mega
home
money.
runs a year, driving in 40 runs for $27 million a year is absolute pathetic garbage. So really, in the end, why do I want to follow what the hell's happening with them until I hear?
I thought maybe you would have been dancing for joy that maybe this is the beginning of them cutting ties.
They're gonna have to pay him though. It's not like football,
I
you know
know.
that.
I know.
They're gonna have to. They're stuck with him through next year.
If they would just take a page out of the Mets book and just shell it out and be done.
You're gonna compare Steve Cohen to the Ricketts, the cheap ass Ricketts? Yeah, Steve Cohen will do whatever is needed.
Yeah, Ricketts just wants to pad his pocketbook.
Because of course you're referencing Robinson Cano.
Yep.
Where Cohen said, let's pay off the contract
and get him
out of here. And of course, the Padres swooped in and signed him. Now we'll see if
that's not going to do
at
any
all.
good.
But yeah, I agree with you. It'd be nice just to cut bait and bring up some of the younger guys. But no, we're stuck with him till the bitter end. The bitter goddamn end. Oh, but he made the inspirational speech during the rain delay in Game 7.
Blah, blah.
Yeah. Fairy dust blows out of my butt when I fart, too. Going around the league, some other news. Thank goodness for the Phillies that they put in the National League designated hitter this year, because otherwise they would be screwed. Bryce Harper cannot throw.
Nope.
Has been shut down for at least 6 more weeks. So at least he can bat.
Yeah, that's DH. The only good thing. But that injection into the elbow, man, that's some serious stuff he's dealing with.
Yeah, and the Phillies are a hard team. I like Joe Girardi a lot. You know, I want him managing the Cubs. And the Phillies just seem to be perennial underachievers.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the pitching. Now, the pitching staff isn't the best in the world, but that lineup is just as good, if not better, than any in Major League Baseball, with Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, Hopkins at first.
They're loaded up there in the lineup, but again, without pitching, they're not going to do anything. Speaking of pitching, how about Nathan Eovaldi from Boston? Third pitcher in MLB history to give up 5 home runs in an inning. And kudos to the fans sitting on top of the Green Monster who caught 2 of them. That was just brutal.
And how about the hapless Cincinnati Reds, who cannot even win a game when they no-hit their opponent?
God, that's so bad.
The Pittsburgh Pirates became the 6th team in MLB history to win a game without getting a hit back on May the 15th against the Cincinnati Reds.
Yep. Walks, errors, and a sac fly.
And I do believe it was 1-0. 1-0. Great. Exciting baseball.
Yeah. Pathetic.
From the bottom feeders in the NL Central. A little bit of discipline handed out. Matt Harvey suspended 60 games.
That's it?
For the whole Ricky Skaggs. Is it Ricky Skaggs or Tyler Skaggs?
Tyler Skaggs.
Tyler Skaggs.
Ricky
I'm
Skaggs
thinking of the country singer. Oh, Jesus.
Tyler
the Maestro's off to a great start already.
Tyler Skaggs, OD. Harvey was directly tied into it, distributing oxycodone. 60-game suspension. That's it. That's all he's going to wind up with. Kind of pathetic.
Well, in the end, we're not talking about a big star. You know, he had that year or two in New York where he was...
Yeah, but still, there's no accountability.
But back then, even, he was out. He was known for being out partying all the time.
Right,
and,
he was,
probably
doing
setting
everything.
up his contacts.
Uh-huh.
Like you said, as he was doing everything, knowing who he'd go to get what and when and how and why.
Yeah.
All right, okay, since I made the mistake on Ricky Skaggs, I guess that's a great transition to make a couple corrections from last week.
There you go.
Because I don't want you people to think I don't double check my work. We talked about Christian Yelich, right? getting yet another cycle. And I think I said the final score in that game was 17-12. It was not. It was 14-11. So I apologize. And then also I mentioned
He's nothing if not detail-oriented, folks.
I do not like making mistakes. I do not like making mistakes. You deserve better. Dave deserves better. Now, this one is because I left my notes in another room and couldn't go get it. We were already recording last week. But I gave you the story about the Shiva League.
Yes.
And the guy's name was John Eckert. He was the one that lost in the Shiva League.
And he
went to the
try
U.S.
to the
Open
Open.
qualifier
Right.
for the U.S. Open. I think I said he had a score of 118. I have to give him a little bit more credit than that. He posted a 112.
Oh, well, there we go.
But again, I want to be accurate. There are certain people we know who listen to this show who would
just
tear me a
can't
new
let
one.
it go.
Who would tear me a new one if I did not correct my mistakes. So, are we ready for NASCAR? A boring week of NASCAR approaching.
Yeah, coming up is the All-Star Weekend. Woo, who don't care.
Yep, I don't like All-Star games, races. If it doesn't count towards a world championship, I don't give a rat's ass.
That's why it was so much more fun when baseball mattered for home field.
But you and I are like in the vast minority on that. Everybody else, don't make the All-Star game matter that much. Especially all the dipshit purists out there.
Dipshit purists can just go away. Evolve like everybody else.
Because I agree with you. That was the only reason I cared about the All-Star game.
I hated the All-Star game
because
up until then.
What happened was when we were kids, it was cool because they played hard.
Yeah, and it was cool.
You got the image of Pete Rose destroying Ray Fosse at home plate.
Yeah.
Burned, etched into your brain if you're an MLB fanatic who's over the age of 45 or 50.
Yeah, and then it got to the point where, all right, it's cool to see the guys from the other league that you don't follow. Now, who gives a rat's ass because of interleague play, which has ruined everything?
Right.
At least at that point, the players had some skin in the game trying to win it. Now, oh yeah, let's have the frickin' announcers distract the players on the field while they're playing. It's crap.
Yeah.
I hate it.
God.
It's gimmicky, and it
still
sucks.
doing that. They're still doing that during the regular season now.
Oh God, just stop it.
Yep. Earpiece in.
No, just let it go. Let them play the damn game.
I think I saw it first week of the season. I think they had Joey Votto. Yeah, doing it.
I hate this whole mic'd up crap.
And I failed again. I forgot to give Dave his homework assignment for this week. Usually, Dave will break down all the twists, the turns, the convoluted rules involved in the All-Star race. But I figured, why would I do that to him again this year?
Yeah, nobody cares. They change it around, and it really doesn't matter because it sucks.
Yep, so if you guys want to check it out, it's on this coming Sunday. I probably will not even watch 5 minutes of it.
Probably not. But
now, we do have to recap the Kansas Speedway race.
Yes.
From last week.
Big win for 2311 Racing. Kurt Busch manages to pull it off. Runs down Kyle Larson and holds off his baby brother.
Yep. Of course, pole sitter was Christopher Bell.
God, left rear tires going down.
Yeah,
all
we're still
race
having
long.
issues with that. And Kyle Larson, the fact that he finished second is amazing because he was all over the place, all over the track.
Bouncing off the wall. Yep. Amazing that he saved it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, but Kurt Busch did have a pretty dominant performance, especially the second half of the race.
Yeah.
And of course, I've heard all these idiot dipshits. Not only on social media, but the regular media. Well, you know why he won? Because he had Michael Jordan, the GOAT, on his hood.
No, that's all bullshit. they finally got it turned around and he got hooked up. But, left rear tire issues for Bell, who was leading. Byron was leading, lost the tire, got into the wall, ruined his day, screwed me over. Tyler Reddick, another one. Truex Jr. had a left rear go down, and then Chase Elliott as well. The rubber came completely off the wheel and screwed him over.
Yep.
So, and then more hub issues.
Yep.
Trying to change a tire for Eric Jones. 7 laps. They had to cut the frickin' wheel off the hub.
Okay, this is a good question because as I was watching the race with one of our avid listeners, we had a discussion and neither one of us could answer the question. What is I thought there was still a clock involved when it came to how long you could have a car in the pits and getting it repaired. And Eric Jones was in there forever, like you said.
That was not cosmetic repairs to
so it's
the
only
vehicle.
Cosmetic. So, but I thought if it's like an engine issue even, they can't sit there forever. They got to take it back to the garage.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I don't know. But they had everything right there, and they couldn't move it. So
it just seemed so odd because I remember last year especially, not so much this year, but last year they were really strict about the 5-minute rule.
I don't know what the hell. It wasn't quite 5 minutes. It was probably.
Oh, he was on there for forever. He was on pit road forever.
Yeah.
Like you said, they had to cut the damn thing off.
Yeah, it was insane. I think they might have given him a break on that because they can't figure out what the frick they did with the hubs. Yep, this is an absolute nightmare.
The single hub is not working yet.
It works great in Formula One. It works great in IndyCar. It works great in sports car racing. Why the hell can't NASCAR figure it out? It's been there forever, and you guys still screwed it up. Ugh.
Well, outside of the race...
Well, hey, let's say Toyota finally showed up.
I was going to say.
Out of 5 of the top 6 finishing positions.
Kyle Busch did very well for me points-wise. Got me back to my large cushion. Yes, I'm not talking about my ass. So
but
I'm almost 100 up on the cut line now.
Yeah, congratulations to Aaron on getting the win.
Kurt Busch was not even in my thoughts for this race. I almost went with Byron like you did. So thank God.
Oh, God.
Doing it for the new kid. Doing it for the baby.
There you go.
But I think we're getting a little crazy with the reality TV stuff, Dave.
Gee,
yeah, I know.
You think?
You could have said that for the last 10, 15 years. Austin Dillon is now getting his own USA Network reality show.
Why?
I don't have the press release in front of me, but it was basically the same old Hollywood pap, eccentric, interesting, wild NASCAR driver Austin Dillon.
He's a doof.
We're going to follow him in
Why?
his crazy life.
See what new big old stupid hat he wears next? No.
You couldn't even pick couldn't even pick a more important, more interesting driver.
That's just bad.
And the fact is now, if you think about it, going back to the actual racing for a second, and we'll bring Austin Dillon into this. 13 races in now. We're halfway through the regular season. 11 different winners. Only 5 slots left for the playoffs.
Yep.
So there are some people like Austin Dillon sweating it out. Kevin Harvick hasn't won yet. Ryan Blaney hasn't won yet. Martin Truex hasn't won yet. Now on points, those are 3 of your 5 who would get in right now.
But
a couple DNFs,
boom,
and they are
hurting.
That's why that tire issue you were talking about with Eric Jones killed him in points. Killed him in points.
Absolutely.
So he's got some ground to make up. Yep.
So, and then the Dover penalty for Denny Hamlin's crew, the 4-race suspensions have been upheld. So we'll see how that impacts them going down the line. And then good news for Kurt Busch winning the race. Bad news, though, is he's getting a divorce.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
Ashley has filed under a torturous act. The only reports are back in April. Kurt cut her off from all the joint accounts and funding, told her she had to be out of the family home by the first week of June.
That's the torturous act?
I don't know. There's no other details, but those are some of the reports. I don't know
say,
if that's it or not.
Since the nation is fascinated with this Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing, I look at torturous act as a little bit more different than what.
But I don't know
Busch
if that's what it is. That's what she didn't detail what it was, but these are some of the reports that are in the filings from their separation.
Right, well, he has a past.
He does have a bad past,
but we also know that bad past, again, I hate to keep referencing this and no, I'm not following the gory details of Heard versus Depp, but there was a lot of he said, she said going on in that situation where he was accused of stuff and it turned out she did some crazy stuff and he wasn't necessarily the bad guy in the situation in the end.
Right. So Kurt was kind of he
exonerated
a little bit. He did some stuff in retaliation, but I don't know. It's what did she do for him to kick her out of the house and cut off all funding?
Yeah. Kurt Busch is not somebody you want to go to for relationship advice.
No, he's not. So there you go.
All right, couple little miscellaneous tidbits to fill out segment 1. Of course, Rich Strike, the massive underdog who won the Kentucky Derby, will skip the Preakness.
Yep.
To prepare for the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, they weren't ready to have. He wasn't trained up enough to get the endurance to make the full Triple Crown run.
Yep. So unfortunately, there will be no Triple Crown drama this year.
No. So, which I'm impressed with the owner not pushing and punishing his horse in that regard. If he wasn't ready for it, good for him.
I mean, it was already probably for him fulfilling his wildest dream, winning the Kentucky Derby with a horse that wasn't really supposed to be in the race to begin with.
Right.
And then finally, politics kind of rears its ugly head here as we have to go back to Brittany Griner, detained in Russia, extended a month.
Yep.
And now we're hearing that they're blocking all visits.
Yeah, the NBA and WNBA are working together.
Let me ask you this, though. How does that work?
I have no idea.
Does that mean they're working with politicians? Because I don't think Vladimir Putin really cares
about basketball.
Adam Silver wanting to do a Zoom call with him.
I think what Adam Silver...
Dude, you look like an alien.
I think what Adam Silver needs to do is threaten him with that silver phantasm ball that he's got in his back pocket.
But now and we're not trying to make light of the situation as much as I've had issues in the past with Brittany Griner. You need to get her out. You need to get her home. Again, pretty stupid what she did, knowing the circumstances when she did it.
Yeah.
She should have just dumped everything, left it in a hotel room or wherever, and just got on a plane and gotten the hell out of Russia.
Yep. You got to know when to cut bait, kids.
Yep. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to get on the goddamn plane. But Putin's rumored deal that he wants in exchange, and I'm sorry again, nothing personal to Brittany Griner, but rumors are that Russia wants a prisoner swap. And I'm not joking. This is not a joke, kids. in exchange for letting Brittany Griner come home, they want us to release a gun runner known as the Merchant of Death. A guy named Victor Bout.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think he was convicted.
Not a comparable exchange.
That's the first thing I thought was, I'm sorry, we want to get Brittany home, but I'm not letting the Merchant of Death go.
I don't think the comp numbers do not equal in this trade.
Yeah, again, I'm going to put a number out there. I'm not doing a goddamn correction on it next week, so take this as a guesstimate. But I think he had somewhere either 15 or 25 counts of trying to facilitate the injury or death of Americans, which basically means he was selling guns to terrorists. He was selling guns to people who are going to attack Americans. I don't think the Merchant of Death is an equal fair trade.
No, it's not.
Sorry.
Add up the numbers. It doesn't work.
Sorry, Brittany. We want you to get back. Get out of there.
You need to get the hell home.
I don't think letting this guy, this Victor Bout, go is the right deal right now for us.
No, it's not.
All right, kids, that's it for segment 1. Hope you enjoyed it. Segment 2, we're going to cover NFL, NBA, NHL, of course. Talk about the playoffs. Talk about the 7 Game 7s this past weekend in hockey and basketball. Of course, the hockey stuff was really good. The basketball, not so much.
Not so much.
So we'll talk about all that in the next segment. Stay tuned. We will be right back. Feeling mildly fatigued? Need a day off even if you just took one a few days ago? Make $30 million a year but just don't want to work for it? You need to join the NBA Load Management Club right now. When they're not napping or texting, guest lecturers Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving will describe foolproof ways to earn tens of thousands of dollars by not doing anything. Sports Frenzy 2.0, available on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, is currently negotiating with LeBron James to bring his popular How to Make the Hall of Fame Without Really Trying webinar live and in person to the Load Management Club. Thanks again to Sports Frenzy 2.0 and all you apathetic fans out there for making us a success.
Segment 2, Sports Frenzy 2.0, Sports. I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
I'm the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
Here we are recording May 18th, 2022. This will drop on the 19th. Anywhere you can get your podcasts: Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, CastBox, and Stitcher!
Don't forget the Facebook page to check out our weekly, although not this week, NASCAR picks. And, of course, our football picks each and every week from September through the Super Bowl.
Yep. Use it. Drop us a line. Communicate.
Yep. And we did have some communication from one of our fans.
We did.
Although it seems to be the same fan giving us suggestions all the time. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to satisfy this fan's
this week.
Maybe next week. We'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe we'll do some
more.
The
request came in too late to prep properly.
Of course, the schedule release hit the night after we recorded last week's episode.
Yep.
So the request came in that we should pick our 5 most intriguing games of the year and our 5 dumpster fire games of the year, the least intriguing.
Yep. So we'll see what we can do for the NFL. It's almost too easy.
It's too obvious. There's 4 or 5 teams, and you get any combination of those. Those are going to be your best games. And there are
a ton of dumpster fire
games. Let's pick 5 games off the Bears schedule.
Bears Lions is going to be a horrible matchup.
I think the Bears are playing the Giants.
That's going to be abysmal.
Yeah, have you not gotten the point from us yet that we're not looking forward to the Bears season at all?
Not even remotely close.
And even though he's not with the team anymore, the
Oh,
Bears
God.
curse carried over to poor Tariq Cohen.
Here he is, live streaming a workout as a free agent, trying to impress somebody, backpedaling, and he goes down, grabbing his leg, tears his Achilles.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Coming off the knee injury, oft injured with the Bears, not necessarily a Bears curse.
No, and yeah, we've grumbled and bitched a little bit about him in terms of he signed his extension and then all of a sudden became a China doll.
Yeah.
But I still do feel bad for him.
That sucks.
This is probably going to be it for him.
You would think so.
Now, luckily,
point.
because he participated in the Bears retirement plan.
Yeah, he's got some money.
Yeah.
Hopefully he invested well.
And the one last thing I want to bring up to illustrate my frustration with the Chicago Bears, the only other notes I have for the Bears this week, I'm going to tell you kids verbatim. Signed QB Nathan Peterman, ?
What?
The Bears signed Nathan Peterman. Why? Why do we need Nathan Peterman?
For what purpose?
We need 3 quarterbacks?
No, we don't.
We need 2 mediocre to bad backup quarterbacks? We just cut Nick Foles.
Oh my God. This is pathetic.
What are Trevor Siemian and Nathan Peterman gonna fight it out for that backup spot behind Justin Fields?
Oh my God. This is just
I can't believe you didn't know this. Yeah.
No, I
again.
Oh my God.
I'm dealing with my baseball team are a bunch of tightwad cheap asses. My football team is a bunch of tightwad cheap asses.
Oh Lord. Yeah, this is going to be pretty pathetic. Oh,
speaking of pathetic,
scary.
We still don't know what the hell is going to happen with Deshaun Watson. Now rumors are that the civil cases are going to get pushed to 2023.
Yeah, because the lawyers cannot figure out how or when they want to do it and or what order. And supposedly NFL officials are meeting with Deshaun Watson coming up here to determine what violations of the conduct policy are there. Now, how can they do that before the civil cases?
I'm hoping we get a little bit of karmic justice here, because we've talked about the contract he signed with the Browns.
The Browns trying to screw the NFL over with a fully guaranteed
deal. Wouldn't it be interesting if the NFL says, well, we'll wait until the civil cases get a little bit closer. So you go ahead and play in 2022 under that $1 million deal. And then when the civil cases finally come to fruition in 2023,
and we learn a little bit more
next season after that, then we'll lay down the hammer.
Bring down the hammer, and you're gonna.
I would love to see that. Sorry, Cleveland, you deserve it. Not the fans, but the front office, the idiots who decided they would try to manipulate.
You don't screw with the NFL. It does not benefit you.
Nope. One interesting free agent signing I saw, that Jarvis Landry is going with the Saints. So now the Saints have a pretty interesting wide receiver core now, between Michael Thomas, who supposedly, quote unquote, is fully healthy. Yeah, that helped my fantasy teams out the last 2 fucking years.
Not.
Now Jarvis Landry, and of course, I believe they've got Olave, the kid from Ohio State that they drafted.
Yep.
So they've got a
decent little core down there.
Jameis get them the damn ball and not get hurt?
Well, You got to wonder, is Breeze going to come back and then retire to finish out that last year of the contract?
Yeah, I was waiting to save that for my media portion of the final segment, but we might as well bring it up now because it does fit. That Drew Brees is already out at NBC after one pathetic year.
Abysmal year. He did not show any growth in the booth or on the sidelines through the season.
And then he tweets out all
No,
that.
maybe I'll come back and play. Maybe I'll coach my kids. Maybe I'll do some business or philanthropy stuff. Maybe I'll do it all. Who knows?
Oh, you missed the best one. Maybe I'll join pickleball league somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pickle your liver.
Yeah, just go away, Drew. You're going to the Hall of Fame, first ballot. Just go away, enjoy your life.
Yep.
And find somebody. Go around the world, talk to the best doctors, and get your goddamn mole off your face, will you? I know you tried, but whoever you tried with didn't do a damn good job.
There you go.
There's got to be,
Something.
a good doctor somewhere in Mexico, right?
Maybe the Bahamas. Maybe he can latch on with Deshaun Watson and his crew in the Bahamas.
Brazil,
Yeah. No, Deshaun Watson is taking his offensive players
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No,
to the Bahamas for a team building exercise.
Yeah.
Will he stay to avoid extradition? Is he setting up all these secret accounts that they can't touch his money?
And I got to go back. We got to go back, circle back now that you brought Deshaun into this. I did hear something along with the news that the civil cases are getting pushed back. It's amazing to me that he's not going to face criminal charges. I heard a story about one of the women, and I guess there are text messages, and there is,
Enough.
solid concrete evidence that he did take his Jimmy Johnson and, do things with it with this massage therapist. And she was freaking out and crying and breaking down. And of course, he's texting, "Oh, I didn't realize what I did. I didn't realize that would make you upset. I'm so sorry."
Uh-huh.
He's guilty, man.
He's
I'm beginning to
guilty as
think
hell.
he's guilty. Really guilty. All right. I wanted to bring this up last week. This was one of the few topics that we missed. The Raiders fired their president, Dan Ventrell, a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting about this, I mean, of course, the Raiders have been going through a complete overhaul here recently. The rumors are they might have fired him because he was complaining that the Raiders were fostering a hostile work environment.
The Raiders?
No. Just a little bit of delicious irony there. Had to bring that up. And then finally, before we move on, we'll move on to the NBA here in a second, but sticking with our crime blotter, we've done Deshaun Watson to death, but Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, who of course was poised to have a huge year with Russell Wilson, now is in a little bit of trouble. Now, I've been reading a lot about this, and I cannot figure out what the charges mean versus what happened, because he got charged with criminal tampering with a domestic violence, I don't know if it's an escalator or what it is. He did not strike a woman. He did not physically harm a woman. But because it was a domestic incident, there's something about him not allowing his, I don't know if it's his girlfriend, his wife, I'm sorry, whatever acquaintance she was, he wouldn't let her into the house or the apartment where they live to get her things or to get access to money.
Yeah, he blocked something, and all the rules and laws in every state are different.
Right. Right.
And so it's hard to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, in Colorado, I'm surprised it wasn't criminal tampering, domestic violence escalator with, marijuana involvement. Oh wait,
No,
no.
wait, it's legal.
That would be a de-escalator.
That's right.
You're smoking pot out there, they actually,
all right.
knock a couple charges off.
Ugh.
Frickin' hippies out in Colorado. Frickin' hippies!
Crazy, crazy stuff.
All right, I alluded to it earlier. I happened to stumble upon it last night, the NBA draft lottery.
Congratulations to your Orlando Magic.
Hell yeah! And I would have been happy with a top 3.
You get the number 1 overall for the first time since 2004.
I do believe we selected Dwight Howard.
You are correct.
Yes, and even though he ended up being a nut job and leaving, we still got to the finals with him. He was still pretty much a stud for us.
Yep.
The Magic have a great history at number 1. Now, the 3 guys that are projected as number 1, I can tell you right now who I want. The kid from Auburn. I want him.
Well, yeah.
Good shooter. Forward, guard. I mean, he's kind of like that decent sized guy who can do it all.
Yeah, it can be a 1 or a 2.
I do not want the kid from Duke. We've talked about him.
No.
We talked
Stay
about
away from Duke.
how he got in trouble, the drunk driving thing with Krzyzewski's grandkid.
Stay
I don't
away
want
from
him.
there.
And they interviewed all 3 of them during the lottery, and he sounds like an arrogant, cocky asshole. I don't want him. Now, if we'd gotten 3, I would have taken him. We'd had to deal with it.
Yeah. But if you have your choice, stay away from that kid.
All right. I'm going to tell you right now, and anybody who wants to ever call me a racist, I want you to start recording this portion of this segment. Because I would take the kid from Duke, even, and of course the kid from Auburn, over the gawky white kid, Holmgren from Gonzaga.
Oh my God.
I don't know what
is it with this
it's
guy?
the second coming of Sean fucking Bradley, and they're acting like he's a can't miss prospect. You should have seen him, Dave. He was so stiff and awkward and shy, and
That's not.
he doesn't look like he's ready to play against anybody in the NBA. And yet they're saying he's a can't miss number 1. I don't want him.
If you're told somebody's a can't miss number 1, run in the other direction. That never works.
I don't want this kid. I don't care because he can shoot 3s.
So what? What else can he do?
It looks like you could
Can he
snap his
defend?
collarbones just by tapping on them with a plastic straw.
No, stay away.
No.
No, definitely not a first rounder. No.
Now, of course, in other NBA news before we get to the playoffs, Phil Jackson has supposedly been consulted by the Lakers on what they should do to improve their team. The train wreck that is the LA Lakers.
Blow it all up, cut everyone, and start over?
Well, supposedly, unconfirmed rumors are that he did tell his former paramour, Janie Buss, trade LeBron. He actually, believe it or not, now Phil Jackson's not known for being the smartest executive in the world. Just ask the New York Knicks.
Right.
He actually thinks they should keep Westbrook and ditch LeBron.
Intriguing.
Yes, very intriguing. Now, of course, the NBA has decided to bring in 2 new awards, 2 new trophies named after Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. The MVPs of the conference finals.
Yep.
Of course, East will be Larry Bird.
West will be Magic.
So kind of cool.
I like that.
Kind of interesting.
I saw that and I'm like, that is appropriate, honoring those 2.
Yep.
For really setting the stage for the NBA playoffs and what it means to be an MVP.
Yep. And of course, we couldn't have an intense playoff game without a mass shooting. In Milwaukee, of all places, after Game
Seriously,
6,
come on.
when they're playing the Celtics, 3 separate shootings, 21 people injured. So, of course, for Game 7, which probably worked out for the best because the Celtics ended up beating up the Bucks pretty good, but they were supposed to have a big watch party outdoors, I believe, and they had to cancel that because of the Game 6 shootings.
Yeah. People, don't be stupid.
This is
Absolutely
this is
ridiculous.
the type of stuff that gets gun control advocates fired up and makes people who want guns available to all of us who are law-abiding citizens, makes us look bad. Because, again, a few idiots ruin it for everybody.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, looking at the playoffs. Right now, we are down to the Final Four, the Eastern Conference Finals. The winner will move on, of course, to the NBA Finals. We're going to have 2 new teams as opposed to last year. Last year, of course, was the Bucks and the Suns. We just mentioned the Celtics knocked off the Milwaukee Bucks, so the Bucks, the defending champions, are out.
They will be sitting at home watching the rest of it.
Yep. Giannis had a great Game 7. The rest of the team
Did
not show up.
And after Game 1, the Heat take a 1-0 lead on Boston.
Yep, the Heat took care of Philadelphia fairly easily, 4-2. No help coming from James Harden.
No.
Possibly the poster child for the spoiled brat, lazy, still give me $50 million a year because of my past performance and what you still think I have in terms of potential player.
Yeah, he needs to just go away.
In the West, boy.
Oh, man.
Phoenix is the story. The Phoenix Suns, who, of course, got to the finals out of the West last year.
Expected to get back there this year. And they lay a collective team turd on their home court.
The Dallas Mavericks destroy the Suns in Game 7. So the Mavericks will move on to the Western Conference Finals to play the Golden State Warriors, who, of course, were playing the Grizzlies without Ja Morant. So they took care of them in 6. But I want to go back to the Suns. This, to me, is fascinating. This team,
my God,
you can go all the way back to when they had Charles Barkley. This is one of those snake bit teams like the Vikings and the Bills in the NFL that just can't get it done.
They can't cross the finish line.
They have tons of success, but they can't win the big one.
They can't finish.
And in terms of players, I just talked about James Harden. How about Chris Paul? Chris Paul is beginning to look a lot like one of those players that cannot win the big one.
He's done.
And that was the other thing I was going to say. This team's window over the past 2 years, they had their shot.
It's done.
It might be closed.
And Chris Paul, as good as he was early in his career,
he's getting old.
And he couldn't defend. Yeah. It came down.
Was it Patrick Beverley came out and basically ripped him to shreds?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, was it disrespectful to him as a player? Probably. Was it the truth at this point in his career? Yes. Chris Paul cannot defend anymore.
Yep. And he's not the only NBA player, of course, who does not play defense or cannot play defense.
Yeah.
But when you're going to be a Hall of Famer, and he'll get in the Hall of Fame, but he's going to be one of those Hall of Famers without a ring.
Yep. The woulda, shoulda, coulda crowd.
Ask Matthew Stafford how important winning a ring is to your legacy.
Yeah. Ask Dan Marino what it would have meant to him to have gotten a Super Bowl ring.
Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, 2 future Hall of Famers in Chris Paul and James Harden, especially Harden, who really in the end up being compilers and stat whores who don't deserve the accolades because they can't win the big games.
Yep, they fell apart down the stretch.
All right, moving on to the NHL playoffs. And of course, once again, we have to mention this past weekend, 7 game sevens between the NBA and the NHL this past weekend. 5 of the 7 were hockey game sevens.
Crazy stuff. Carolina at home. The Hurricanes take out the Bruins. Tampa Bay goes on the road and takes out the Maple Leafs. Edmonton at home takes out the Kings. The Rangers at home knock off the Penguins. And Calgary Flames at home knock out the Stars.
So that sets us up for where we are right now with the final 8 teams left in the playoffs. 2 of the matchups have begun. Tampa Bay up 1-0 in the Battle of Florida.
Yep.
Over the Panthers. And the Avalanche are up 1-0 on the St. Louis Blues.
Yep. Other matchups, Rangers Hurricanes, Oilers Flames.
Yep.
So, and unfortunate news coming out of Toronto. Couple days after getting knocked out of the playoffs, Leafs star Mitchell Marner gets carjacked in Toronto.
Oh, I heard
His
about
Range
this.
Rover taken from him at gunpoint. Thankfully, he's fine.
Yeah.
A little shaken up, but thank God nothing serious happened to him in that regard.
And then, of course, back on the business of the ice, they missed the playoffs for the first time in their brief history. So the Las Vegas Golden Knights fire their coach, Peter DeBoer.
Yeah, because that makes perfect sense.
Not a lot of patience in the world of professional sports.
Nope, none at all.
All right, kids, that'll do it for segment 3. Or segment 2. Segment 3 coming up. Getting ahead of myself. Because I'm so excited about what we got to talk about in segment 3.
Oh,
Golf.
soccer.
Media. Lots of media news. Again, we talk about how the NFL somehow stays in the news cycle all year round. The networks and the sports they cover and the people who cover the sports, they're starting to get that way. They're having their own silly season.
I know, it's ridiculous that we're giving our sports commentators this much attention.
Yep. All right, kids, stay tuned. Our final segment, third and final segment, coming up. We will be right back. Are you having trouble falling asleep behind the wheel of your expensive SUV? Are you finding difficulty in avoiding golf clubs thrown at you by your angry wife as you pull out of the driveway? Sign up today for the Tiger Woods Driving School, sponsored by Sports Frenzy 2.0. We'll show you how to text ladies of the night while still driving effectively in the wee hours of the morning. We'll also teach you how to ditch a suspicious backpack when you end up driving into a ditch. Check out Sports Frenzy 2.0 on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, for updates on our latest classes, including how to curse and swear in front of uptight golf fans and their children and still be adored by millions. The Tiger Woods Driving School. It's great. Welcome back, all you denizens of podcast land. It is time for Sports Frenzy 2.0, the third and final segment this week. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
May the 18th, 2022. We hope you enjoy what we've got left for you. And that includes golf. The second major of the year, the PGA Championship, coming up this weekend, actually starting tomorrow as we tape. Bad news that just broke.
Yep, Bryson DeChambeau had to withdraw after his practice round. His wrist is not quite ready.
But of course, Tiger's playing. Oh, Tiger's playing.
Yeah, so
God. Oh! I won't go off on a rant.
no,
I don't have a reason to yet.
not yet.
God. All I'm going to say is I hope he doesn't make the cut so I can actually enjoy watching it this weekend. Because if I got to put up with the nonstop Tiger coverage Saturday and
Oh
Sunday,
God,
of course, Mickelson,
nowhere to be
the
found.
big roller that he is, backed out and said he will not be playing.
Ugh.
Come on, Phil. You're going to have to do this. Show up at some point in time. Get over it. The shame of the gambling story, the shame and humiliation of the comments about Saudi Arabia.
Suck it up, Buttercup. Get your ass back on the course.
Yeah, how else are you going to go out and gamble if you don't make money?
Exactly.
But speaking of the Saudi Arabia Golf League,
Wow.
the Golden Bear,
Yep.
Jack Nicklaus, came out and said he had $100 million offer on the table
To join the tour.
Yep. Wow. $100 million? I'm sorry, Jack Nicklaus to me. Everybody loves Tiger, Tiger, Tiger. I grew up with Jack. And Arnie.
Yeah. Tail end of Arnie.
Little
and
bit of
Jack
Tom
coming into
Watson.
his prime.
Right.
And God bless him, Stuart Payne.
Right. Stuart Payne with the hat and the knickers.
Yep.
But $100 million for a guy who really can't play that much anymore?
Just to have a name out there.
Yeah.
Man.
They are desperate. Sorry. And again, I'm not trying to say wanting Jack Nicklaus is desperate if you're talking about in his prime Jack Nicklaus, but we're talking about twice the age of that Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that they're just trying to get names out there right now.
yep. And of course, the media silly season keeps going and going and going.
Good grief.
So now,
when will it stop?
This one's not shocking. We figured this was coming. Sean Payton will join Fox
Yep.
in 2022 for a studio role of some sort.
Yep. Kind of being there maybe as a special segment, but he's supposed to fill in for Jimmy Johnson when Jimmy's off on vacations or whatever.
That makes sense. That's the first thing that popped into my head because, of course, Jimmy needs his boat time.
That's right.
That's why I love him. God, I love Jimmy. Love the hair. Loved him as a Canes coach. I even loved him as a Cowboys coach.
This could be Jimmy's transition out into the sunset on the water.
That man lived the life. I'm telling you. That man lived the life.
Yes, he did.
Now,
And he still screwed up the Dolphins.
That was his one failure. Yeah, you're right. His one failure. Because, of course, he succeeded with the Canes, succeeded with the Cowboys.
And couldn't do jack shit with Miami.
I'm sorry, but I still love him.
Bastard.
Now, we mentioned Drew Brees earlier, of
May
course.
the rest of that coiffed hair fall out.
No, that helmet of hair will never move. I don't know what kind of deal he made with the hair gods or the hair devils, but that glorious head of hair, that silver mane will never...
lose that silver mane and rot in hell.
We mentioned Drew Brees earlier because we were talking about the Saints and the very, very remote possibility that maybe could he possibly come back and play. No. But now this I find interesting to follow up on the Drew Brees dismissal from NBC. There are rumors now, because we all know the Tom Brady thing we talked about here a week or two ago, where Tom Brady will eventually take over as the number one color analyst at Fox. We've talked about Greg Olsen right now. Looks like he is a sure thing to
heir apparent
to fill the gap.
Yeah.
Until Tom Brady comes in as the number one guy. But I'm hearing now that Fox could be interested in bringing Drew Brees in as their number two on the number two team.
Ugh.
I still don't think he was that good. Now he's better.
No, he's better than Aqib Talib.
You beat me to it. You beat me to it. God, there are some awful. I watched a little bit more. I got nothing better to do Saturday while I'm working on the computer. I'm still watching some USFL. Oh my God, some of the guys they bring in are now they've got some good guys like Joel Klatt, who usually does college football. Brock Heward on the sidelines. That's a pretty good team, but then they've got some other ones that are just
abysmal.
Oh, Jesus. I'm not going to go into details, but let's just say Aqib Talibish and put it at that. Put it at that.
You know, I will have to say, if it comes down to watching an NFL game that Aqib Talib is on the call, I will take that over ever watching another baseball game on Apple TV. Because at least Talib will talk about what's going on the field.
Well, I can't speak to that because I didn't even want to mess with the Apple TV thing. Maybe later on this year.
I did it once,
but I don't know.
Signed up for the free trial to watch one. All they did was talk about human interest things. I think I mentioned that before. You never knew what was going on the field. Right. They never said anything about any spectacular plays made, awesome pitches, barely mentioned a run scoring hit. I mean, it was absolutely pathetic.
And while we're doing this, talking a little bit about media and coverage, I want to go back to the USFL and just say, you can laugh at me all you want. I am still moderately enjoying what I see from the USFL. The football's not terrible. Now, it's not NFL level. Of course, it's not going to be.
No.
But I've seen some interesting stuff from the USFL.
There have been some decent highlights here and there, but the problem is playing them all in one place.
They never should have done that. Never should have done that.
Because you're not generating any interest at all.
And again, I think I brought this up before. I don't understand if they had some bean counters, do the numbers and say it's more cost effective for year one to do it this way, even though we're going to lose revenue from the stadium experience, the attendance, the concessions.
Yeah, there's nobody.
We still got the money coming in from the TV contracts. I don't know. But I think it's coming off to me like a big mistake because you watch the games and they're not trying to sugarcoat it. They're showing the crowds. And now they're starting to tarp off basically 3/4 of the stadium.
Yeah.
Unless it's the Birmingham Stallions playing.
The home
team gets, of course, 3 to 4 more times people than the other games bring in.
Yeah, because there's local interest in it.
Right. Duh. But again, it's just an odd situation.
How they thought that the people of Birmingham would show up for the other games is beyond me.
Speaking of Renegade Football League, news has just come out this week that the TV deal has been struck for next year's XFL games.
Yep. All on ESPN and Disney platforms.
FX and ABC. I did not hear anything about ESPN Plus.
No, I didn't see that.
So it sounds like it's going to be either over the air or ESPN.
Yeah, thank God they're not going to stream it or do the other bullshit.
But wait a minute. Wait.
Oh, is Disney Plus going to carry the XFL championship game?
See, I wouldn't put that past them, but here's what they were discussing at roughly the same time. I think maybe a day or two earlier, because, of course, this week is what they call upfronts week. That's why all this media information has come down, because this is where we get all the returning shows, the canceled shows. They make a big Vegas production out of it every day. One day is Fox, one day is ABC, one day is NBC. So we'll, of course, get to the entertainment side of that on our weekend edition, where there's some exciting news about some cool shows coming.
And some disappointing news about streaming crap only.
Yep. But Initially, they're saying it's going to be over-the-air ABC, cable, ESPN, and FX. Would it shock me if they pull something and say, oh, how about FX on Hulu? Like they do with some of those shows.
That I would not
or
be surprised.
ESPN Plus. That would not shock me. But the other news that they came out with, actually two things. Number one, there's the discussion, and we've been dreading this and fearing this for the longest time. It would be a bold move, but the heads that be, the head honchos at Disney,
the money-grubbing rat bastards,
are talking about pulling ESPN off of cable and streaming platforms and making it a pay service only. Kind of like an HBO Max. Could you see ESPN Max? Could you see that? Now, maybe they would run it parallel for a while. Maybe they would keep the carriage deals with Comcast and DirecTV.
There's going to be a point where people are going to stop buying these streaming services.
But I could see ESPN doing this.
Oh, God.
Packaging ESPN Plus and ESPN as an HBO Max type thing, like a $10 a month. Although it wouldn't be 10 with them.
No.
It'd probably be closer to 20.
Absolutely.
Because I've heard for years and years and years how much they gouge the cable companies.
Oh, yeah. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
From the small little startup.
Yep.
To becoming this egotistical behemoth that's a shell of its former self.
Yep. Speaking of the egotistical behemoth, Monday Night Football news broke today. Again, another offshoot of this upfront week they have. We will get 3 doubleheaders. Not 1, not 2, but 3 doubleheaders next year in 2023 for Monday Night Football. Now, here's the thing I don't like about the one this year.
This kind of sucks.
Well, you want to know what really sucks about it? Normally what they would do when they had that doubleheader was always season opening Monday, right?
Yeah, you'd have
an
earlier
one.
And
you could watch both if you wanted to.
Right.
If you were a true football fanatic.
You could start early and go late.
This year, it's week 2, and the games will overlap.
So what? One's going to be on ESPN, one's going to be on ESPN2, one's going to be on ESPN Plus?
Something like that, yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah, their big selling point on that is, well, we want to make sure the East Coast people, get to watch one full game because we know it's hard to stay up till 11:30, 12, and you got to work the next day.
So you're going to start it at 7?
And then you're going to start another game, So the West Coast people
will start at 9 Eastern.
I think it's 7:30 and 9 or 9:30, yeah.
I'm so sick of this crap.
And the thing is, the worst part of it is, I can't tell you for sure who the teams involved are. I know the early game has got the Bills in it, and the late game has got the Vikings in it, but there's no West Coast team involved in the late game.
So why are you doing it that way?
I don't know. But that's this year's doubleheader.
I mean, if you're not... if you're going to do a West Coast special, why don't you have a West Coast team participating?
That would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? But I'm telling you, there is no team from what I saw involved west of Minnesota.
That's stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Now, that just begs the question, what are they going to do next year with the 3 doubleheaders they're going to have? And here, thank God I'm not rich and I don't live near a football team like half an hour away. I know the Bears are technically somewhat close, but they are going to start. They've gotten approval from the NFL in 2023 to start flexing games into Monday night.
No! Yeah. Hell no!
Weeks 14 through 18, Monday Night Football will be allowed to flex games in. And they swear, well, it'll just be a minor inconvenience for the fans.
Bullshit. It's not a minor inconvenience for fans who, many of them, plan their lives around going to these games. And if you expect to have a Sunday game that you're coming in from out of town for and have to be at work on Monday or Tuesday, and you're getting delayed and have to shell out for a hotel even longer, that's absolute crap.
Yeah, I don't.
It is not a minor inconvenience.
I don't see how that works. And this whole Monday Night Football thing, it looks like it's got disaster written all over it. Not, of course, you got Buck and Aikman coming in now. That part of it's going to be fine. The actual
call is going to be good.
But again, they're botching the doubleheader this year with how they're overlapping the games. And then I don't know how you make the flex work. I don't know how you make the flex work going Sunday to Monday instead of Sunday afternoon to Sunday night like NBC gets.
Right.
I don't know how you do the
you
brought up
flex.
all the points.
Travel arrangements are a nightmare, not only for the fans but the teams. And you're going to short week a team getting that late in the season? Hell no.
Another great point.
Hell no.
Yep. Another great point. Short rest for a team. And then, of course, we've got all the international travel.
You're flexing in the good teams who are fighting for the playoffs and everything, and you're screwing them over on a no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Excellent points from the conquistador as always. All right. We do have one moment of silence. Carryover from last week. I didn't get to bring this one up. But I think Dave will agree with me. I think it's significant. Because if you ever turned your TV on just because it's a reflex, Saturday morning, I don't know. When I grew up, I was watching cartoons, of course, when I was a kid. Growing up, I wanted to see the Saturday morning, early afternoon WWE show. Back then, WWF, of course. Fuck the World Wildlife Foundation. Fuck them.
Amen to
it's
that.
Still
one.
The WWF.
It's the World Wrestling Federation.
God damn it! Right. But what else was on? What other kind of shows would pop on late morning, early afternoon on Saturday?
You had your baseball recaps.
Of course, that was a good one. Yeah, This Week in Baseball. Another show, Bassmasters.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, Lord.
The man who came up with Bassmasters, Ray Scott, passed away a few weeks ago. And even though I do not watch fishing shows and I do not fish, I understand the importance, the culture of those people. So
yep.
I had to acknowledge
We have to acknowledge that.
I had to acknowledge.
Yes, I've spent a few days watching some Bassmaster tournaments.
Yep. So thoughts and prayers go out to the family and the friends of Ray Scott. Not Bassamatic. Okay,
no,
not Bassamatic.
No, not Randolph Scott. Randolph Scott. No, Ray Scott.
Couple of dumbasses. Dave's got, check out the weekend edition. Dave's got carryover from last week.
Yes,
that's phenomenal.
I will have one for you.
I have got just a few for sports this week. Of course, one of them is a recurring character.
No.
Of course, still ordering herbal drinks from the beverage cart on the Sports Frenzy plane of doom. Kyrie Irving is back again, as it seems like he is every week. This is a two-parter. Now, I have to apologize. He
is on our Mount Rushmore of dumbasses.
Oh, God, yeah. God, yeah. God, yeah. Not even close. Two-parter. Cannot confirm the second part. I tried. I heard it in one place, reputable source, but it was audio. It was not internet, so it wasn't something I could read. So I tried to scribble down notes as best I could, and I
If you can't
completely
get
botched it.
if you can't get confirmation, then we have to take a pass.
But I'm going to put the idea of it out there, and maybe one of our listeners will find a way to confirm it for me. But the first part is confirmed. Because of his antics, because of the fact that he has got a exceedingly bad reputation as a troublemaker, as a whiner, as a martyr, like last week.
Yeah.
So I'm a martyr. It looks like Kyrie is going to lose his Nike deal after next year. His contract runs out in 2023 with his signature shoe line.
They're not.
And while Nike has very carefully couched their words, they have said, we will stay in business in some way with Kyrie, but it doesn't look like we'll be going forward with his signature shoe series after our contract that we currently have with him expires. So again, dumbass Kyrie and all his stupid little antics
has cost him a major shoe deal.
Now, the part that I could not confirm now, again, my reputable source, who I will swear by, is Boomer and Geo. They were talking about this on Boomer and Geo.
Did old man Ball come out and say he wanted to?
No, they had clips of him on a podcast, and I looked all day today for 20 minutes trying to find confirmation. I like to have a second source because unlike the journalists of today, I actually care about getting you the correct information, hence my corrections from earlier. So I tried to find a second source and I could not. That's why I say, as much as I love Boomer and Geo on CBS Sports Network, and they brought this up and they have the podcast audio, Kyrie is talking about, I guess he's big into Native American mysticism.
Okay.
There's stories about that from the past.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I tried to write down notes. I think he basically said he was either visited or inhabited by a Native American spirit recently.
Okay. Did he do a sweat?
No, I don't think he did a sweat. I think because he's big on like having sage burned wherever he goes. He loves to do that. So I don't know if maybe by doing that he brought forth the spirit one time or something like that.
Read some of the Longmire books. It's not out of the realm.
Okay, so you're saying he's not a dumbass.
I'm not completely discounting that.
Oh, by the way, this is an ancillary dumbass that you just made me think of. But again, another Brooklyn Net, Kevin Durant, was on David Letterman's show recently.
David Letterman or?
No, David Letterman, the Netflix show.
Oh, okay.
He does the Netflix show.
Yeah.
And basically, Kevin Durant was admitting, oh, yeah, I smoke weed all the time. I'm probably high talking to you right now. It's like, I don't understand this culture, this weed culture.
I don't know.
It would be like, oh, yeah, I just had 12 beers. You'd be frowned upon doing an interview saying, yeah, I just drank a 12-pack. You got a problem, dude. But no, again, we glorify the weed smokers.
They're revolutionary.
No, they're not. They're hippie assholes.
There we go. I don't get it either.
Speaking of drinking, my final dumbass goes to whoever is running concessions at the PGA Championship this upcoming weekend. Because they posted a picture of how much beverages cost this weekend. Take a guess at how much it will cost you, Dave, for a Michelob Ultra, which is the only domestic beer they have.
Is it a tall boy? Standard 12?
I think it's a 16. I think it's a
God,
16.
it's only a 16?
Yeah, I think it's a 16.
All right. Typically, what we've seen at concerts and other sporting events, they're in the $10 to $12 range. So for the PGA, are they going into the $18 to $20 range?
Bing, 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 bing. The Conquistador nails it. $18 for a Michelob Ultra.
Bull crap.
And then it sounds like I think a 12-ounce Stella is 19.
Oh, come on.
Again, I'm not 100% sure on the sizes. Wine seems to be the best option. You can get a pour of wine, I guess it'd be in like a plastic cup,
Yeah.
for 13.
Jesus.
You know what's the sad thing? And I know with the Masters, it's different because you have to be a member of Augusta to get in.
Right.
But if you compare and contrast, the Masters, believe it or not, the snobs that they are, the history they've had with, exclusionary
Right.
tactics. You look at what they charge for food and drink at the Masters, it's like $3 for a barbecue brisket sandwich, $5 for a beer.
Oh, come on. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Now, again, you got to be a member to get into
But
Augusta.
still.
But they treat their people right once you get through the door. I mean, you
My
can really
God.
fill up, have a nice time
See?
there, and get out of there for like $30.
Now, if you're so worried about people getting blitzed and ruining the atmosphere for your players, don't serve anything. If you're trying to outprice everybody, don't provide it if that's what you're worried about. But don't be a money-grubbing bastard.
Well, I just wonder if maybe this is a subtle yet brilliant strategy. Maybe because the beer is so expensive.
You won't have the dumbass going, get in the hole!
Baba Booey! Baba Booey! You the man! You the man! Maybe they won't get liquored up enough to do that stupid shit. Which I hate. I thought golf was a game of etiquette and decorum. Baba Booey! You the man! Get in the hole! Jesus Christ.
Shut up.
I think the crowd in Caddyshack would have beat those assholes senseless.
I think so. God.
All right, that'll do it, kids.
Thanks for joining us.
He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
We had a good time.
As always.
But the good times for this week are not over yet.
Nope. Drop in Saturday morning for the weekend edition.
Yep, we're going to be talking about some big movies. We have huge reviews, including Firestarter and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
And
a
I might have a bonus review for you. Of course, we'll have music reviews and TV and streaming reviews. And I mentioned big news this week on a lot of fronts when it comes to shows coming up later on this year.
Yep, cancellations and all sorts of stuff.
So check it out, kids. We will see you for the weekend edition, and then we'll see you again this time next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.